أفأمن الذين مكروا السيئات أن يخسف الله بهم الأرض أو يأتيهم العذاب من حيث لا يشعرون.
To those who have been devising evil plans against the mission of the Messenger, feel secure that Allah will not cause the earth to swallow them up, or that chastisement will not come upon them from a direction that they will not even be able to imagine.
أو يأخذهم في تقلبهم فما هم بمعجزين.
Or that He will not suddenly seize them while they are going about to and fro, and they will be unable to frustrate His design.
أو يأخذهم على تخوف فإن ربكم لرؤوف رحيم.
Or that He will not seize them when they are apprehensive of the impending calamity. Surely, your Lord is most compassionate, most merciful.
أولم يروا إلى ما خلق الله من شيء يتفيأ ظلاله عن اليمين والشمائل سجدا لله وهم داخرون.
Do the people not see how the objects Allah has created cast their shadows right and left, prostrating themselves in utter submission to Allah?
41. The argument is this: the fact that everything a man, an animal, a tree or a mountain casts its shadow, is a clear proof of its material nature, and everything which is made of matter, is a creation of Allah and is subject to a universal law. In this case the law is that every material thing casts its shadow, which is symbolical of its servitude, and it cannot have any share whatsoever in Godhead.
Prostrating themselves in utter submission to Allah? The shadow of every physical object, be it a mountain or tree or animal or human being, testifies to the fact that everything is subject to a universal law. All are characterized by subservience to the Lord of the universe, and none has any share of His divinity. That something casts a shadow indicates its materiality, and materiality in turn is a proof of its being a creature bound in servitude to God.
وَلِلَّهِ يَسْجُدُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ مِن دَابَّةٍ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ وَهُمْ لَا يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ.
All living creatures and all angels in the heavens and on the earth are in prostration before Allah, and never do they behave in arrogant defiance.
42. That is, not only all things on the earth alone but also all things in the heavens, including all those whom people have been regarding as gods and goddesses, and considering to be closely related to Allah, are subservient to God, and have no share whatsoever in His Godhead. Incidentally, it implies the existence of living creatures not only on the earth but in the planets, too.
يَخَافُونَ رَبَّهُم مِّن فَوْقِهِمْ وَيَفْعَلُونَ مَا يُؤْمَرُونَ.
They hold their Lord, who is above them, in fear, and do as they are bidden.
وَقَالَ اللَّهُ لَا تَتَّخِذُوا إِلَٰهَيْنِ اثْنَيْنِ إِنَّمَا هُوَ إِلَٰهٌ وَاحِدٌ فَإِيَّايَ فَارْهَبُونِ.
Allah has commanded, do not take two gods, for He is but one God, so fear me alone.
43. Negation of two gods by itself negates the existence of more than two gods.
Allah has commanded, do not take two gods. The negation of two gods naturally includes the negation of more than two gods as well.
وَلَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَلَهُ الدِّينُ وَاصِبًا أَفَغَيْرَ اللَّهِ تَتَّقُونَ.
His is whatever is in the heavens and the earth, and obedience to Him inevitably pervades the whole universe. Will you then hold in awe any other than Allah?
44. In other words, it means that the entire system of the universe exists on its obedience to Him. 45. That is, when it is so, will you then make the fear of any other than God the basis of the system of your life?
Obedience to Him inevitably pervades the whole universe. In other words, obedience to God is the axis around which the whole system of the universe revolves.
وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِّعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ إِذَا مَسَّكُمُ الضُّرُّ فَإِلَيْهِ تَجْأَرُونَ.
Every bounty that you enjoy is from Allah, and whenever any misfortune strikes you, it is to Him that you cry for the removal of your distress.
46. That is, the fact that you run to Allah for help in your distress and not to anyone else, is a clear proof of the oneness of Allah, which has been embedded in your own hearts. At the time of your affliction, your true nature, which had been suppressed by the gods you had forged, involuntarily comes to the surface and invokes Allah, for it knows no other God or Lord or Master, having any real power. For further details please refer to ENs 29 and 41 of Surah Al-An'am. 47. That
ثُمَّ إِذَا كَشَفَ الضُّرَّ عَنكُمْ إِذَا فَرِيقٌ مِّنكُم بِرَبِّهِمْ يُشْرِكُونَ.
But as soon as He removes the distress from you, some of you associate others with their Lord in giving thanks.
47. That is, at the time of showing gratitude to Allah for removing His affliction, he begins to make offerings also to some god, goddess or saint to show that Allah's kindness to him was due to the intercession of his patron, for he imagines that otherwise Allah would not have removed his distress.
لِيَكْفُرُوا بِمَا آتَيْنَاهُمْ فَتَمَتَّعُوا فَسَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ.
That they may show ingratitude for the bounties we bestow upon them. So enjoy yourselves for a while. Soon you will come to know the truth.
وَيَجْعَلُونَ لِمَا لَا يَعْلَمُونَ نَصِيبًا مِّمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ تَاللَّهِ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ عَمَّا كُنتُمْ تَفْتَرُونَ.
They set apart for those whose reality they do not even know a portion of the sustenance we have provided them. By Allah, you will surely be called to account for the lies that you have invented.
وَيَجْعَلُونَ لِلَّهِ الْبَنَاتِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَلَهُم مَّا يَشْتَهُونَ.
They assign daughters to Allah, glory be to Him, whereas they assign to them themselves what they truly desire.
50. This refers to a tradition of the ancient Arabs. They regarded their goddesses and angels as daughters of God. 51. That is, sons.
They assign daughters to Allah. In the pantheon of Arabia, goddesses outnumbered gods. These goddesses were conceived to be the daughters of God. Likewise, angels were also considered to be God's daughters, whereas they assign to them themselves what they truly desire. That is, sons.
وَإِذَا بُشِّرَ أَحَدُهُم بِالْأُنثَى ظَلَّ وَجْهُهُ مُسْوَدًّا وَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ.
When any of them is told about the birth of a female, his face turns dark, and he is filled with suppressed anger.
يَتَوَارَى مِنَ الْقَوْمِ مِنْ سُوءِ مَا بُشِّرَ بِهِ أَيُمْسِكُهُ عَلَى هُونٍ أَمْ يَدُسُّهُ فِي التُّرَابِ أَلَا سَاءَ مَا يَحْكُمُونَ.
And he hides himself from people because of the bad news, thinking, should he keep the child despite disgrace, or should he bury it in dust? How evil is their estimate of Allah.
52. This attitude of contempt towards daughters has been mentioned to bring home to them the height of their folly, ignorance and impudence in regard to God. This is why they did not hesitate to assign daughters to Allah, though they themselves felt that to have daughters was a matter of disgrace for them. Besides this, it shows that they had a very low estimation of Allah, which had resulted from their ways of shirk. So they felt nothing wrong in ascribing such foolish and absurd things to Allah who is above such things.
How evil is their estimate of Allah. On the one hand, they considered it a matter of shame to have daughters, and on the other, they had no compunction in saying that God had daughters.
للذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة مثل السوء ولله المثل الأعلى وهو العزيز الحكيم.
Those who do not believe in the hereafter deserve to be characterized with evil attributes, whereas Allah's are the most excellent attributes. He is the most mighty, the most wise.
ولو يؤاخذ الله الناس بظلمهم ما ترك عليها من دابة ولكن يؤخرهم إلى أجل مسمى فإذا جاء أجلهم لا يستأخرون ساعة ولا يستقدمون.
Were Allah to take people to task for their wrongdoing, He would not have spared even a single living creature on the face of the earth. But He grants them respite until an appointed term, and when that term arrives, they have no power to delay it by a single moment, nor to hasten it.
وَيَجْعَلُونَ لِلَّهِ مَا يَكْرَهُونَ وَتَصِفُ أَلْسِنَتُهُمُ الْكَذِبَ أَنَّ لَهُمُ الْحُسْنَى لَا جَرَمَ أَنَّ لَهُمُ النَّارَ وَأَنَّهُمْ مُفْرَطُونَ.
They assign to Allah what they dislike for themselves, and their tongues utter a sheer lie in stating that a happy state awaits them. Without doubt, the fire awaits them, and it is to it that they shall be hastened.
تالله لقد أرسلنا إلى من قبلك فزين لهم الشيطان أعمالهم فهو وليهم اليوم ولهم عذاب أليم.
By Allah, O Muhammad, peace be upon him, we sent messengers to other communities before you, but Satan made their evil deeds attractive to them, so they paid no heed to the call of the messengers. The same Satan is their patron today, and they are heading towards a painful chastisement.
وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا لِتُبَيِّنَ لَهُمُ الَّذِي اخْتَلَفُوا فِيهِ وَهُدًى وَرَحْمَةً لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ.
We have sent down the book that you may explain to them the truth concerning what they are disputing, and that the book may serve as a guidance and mercy for those who believe in it.
53. That is, this book has afforded them an excellent opportunity to resolve their differences which have been caused by the superstitious creeds of their forefathers, and which have divided them into warring factions. They can then unite on the permanent basis of the truth presented by the Quran, but those foolish people preferring their former condition even after the coming of this blessing, shall meet with disgrace and torment. On the other hand, only those who believe in this book will find the right way and blessed with mercy and favors from Allah. 65. And Allah sends down from the sky water, then He revives therewith the earth after its death. Indeed, in this is a sure sign for a people who listen. 53a. That is, had you listened to the message of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and observed those signs carefully, you would have cried from the core of your heart. These signs support his message. Year after year you witness these signs. There is the land, all barren before you, without any sign of life, no blade of grass, no bud or flower, and no insect. Then comes rain. All of a sudden, the same land is covered with life. There crop upon numerous kinds of insects of which no vestige had been left. You witness this process of life and death and life, repeated year after year. Yet you doubt this when the Prophet, peace be upon him, tells you that Allah will again bring to life all human beings after their death. This is because you see these signs as animals do, who do not see the wisdom of the Creator underlying this phenomenon. Otherwise you would have discovered that these signs support the message of the Prophet, peace be upon him.
والله أنزل من السماء ماء فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها إن في ذلك لآية لقوم يسمعون.
Allah sends down water from the heaven, and thereby He instantly revives the earth after it lay dead. Verily, there is a sign in it for those who have ears. He instantly revives the earth after it lay dead. Man witnesses an instructive spectacle every year. He observes that during the course of each year, a time comes when the earth turns altogether barren, becoming bereft of every sign of life and fertility. One does not even see a blade of grass, nor plants or leaves, nor vines or flowers, nor even insects. Then suddenly the rainy season sets in. The very first shower causes life to well up from the depths of the earth. Innumerable roots that lay crushed under layer upon layer of earth are suddenly revived, causing the plants which had appeared on the surface a year ago, and had then withered away to make their appearance once again. Likewise, innumerable insects, every trace of which had been destroyed by the heat of summer, make their reappearance. Many people observe this spectacle year after year, that life is followed by death and death by life. Despite all this, when the Prophet, peace be upon him, tells people that God will restore them to life after death, they are struck with surprise.
وَإِنَّ لَكُمْ فِي الْأَنْعَامِ لَعِبْرَةً نسقيكم مما في بطونه من بين فرث ودم لبنا خالصا سائغا للشاربين.
Surely there is a lesson for you in the cattle. We provide you to drink out of that which is in their bellies, between the feces and the blood, pure milk, which is a palatable drink for those who take it.
54. Between excretions and the blood. This refers to the most wonderful process of the formation of pure milk in the bellies of the cattle. For, the fodder they eat turns into blood, filth and pure milk, which is altogether different from the first two in its nature, color and usefulness. Some cattle produce milk in such abundance that after suckling their young ones a large quantity of it is left to make excellent human food.
وَمِن ثَمَرَاتِ النَّخِيلِ وَالْأَعْنَابِ تَتَّخِذُونَ مِنْهُ سَكَرًا وَرِزْقًا حَسَنًا إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ.
And out of the fruits of date palms and grapes you derive intoxicants as well as wholesome sustenance. Surely there is a sign for those who use reason.
55. Incidentally, it implies that the juice of the fruits of date palms and wines contains two things. One is that which is pure and wholesome food for man, and the other is that which turns into alcohol after it becomes rotten. But it has been left to the choice of man to obtain pure healthy food from this providence, or to drink it as intoxicant wine to excite him and make him lose his self-control. This also contains a hint as to the prohibition of wine.
You derive intoxicants as well as wholesome sustenance. The verse quite subtly suggests that wine does not constitute wholesome sustenance, This is a hint of its unlawfulness.
وأوحى ربك إلى النحل أن اتخذي من الجبال بيوتا ومن الشجر ومما يعرشون.
Your Lord inspired the bees, saying, set up hives in the mountains and in the trees and in the trellises that people put up.
56. The lexical meaning of the Arabic word wahi is secret inspiration which is felt only by the one who inspires and the other who is inspired with. The Quran has used this word both for the instinctive inspiration by Allah to His creation in general and for the revelation towards His prophets in particular. Allah sends His wahi to the heavens with His command and they begin functioning in accordance with it. Surah Al-Mu'min, Ayat 12. He will send this to the earth with His command and it will relate the story of all that had happened on and in it. He sends wahi to the bee and inspires it with faculties to perform the all of its wonderful work instinctively. Ayat 68. The same is true of the bird that learns to fly, the fish that learns to swim, the newly born child that learns to suck milk, etc. Then, it is also wahi with which Allah inspires a human being with a spontaneous idea. Surah Al-Qasas, Ayat 7. The same is the case with all the great discoveries, inventions, works of literature and art, etc. which would not have been possible without the benefit of wahi. As a matter of fact, every human being at one time or the other feels its mental or spiritual influence in the form of an idea or thought or plan or dream, which is confirmed by a subsequent experience to be the right guidance from the unseen wahi. Then there is the wahi, revelation, which is the privilege of the prophets. This form of wahi has its own special features and is quite distinct from all other forms. The prophet, who is inspired with it, is fully conscious and has his firm conviction that it is being sent down from Allah. Such a revelation contains doctrines of creed, commandments, laws, regulations and instructions for the guidance of mankind.